action-packed episode of the Dropkick Basement, your favorite wrestling history podcast. I'm Mike Madden on my end of things. I am joined, as always, by my tag team partner, Tom Schultz. Tom, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Mike. Spring is kicking off, and we're getting ready to get into the big season. So I'm excited.
Yes, we're finally clear of all the snow hurdles that we had to endure in the Northeast. Just when you thought everything was gone and you could actually see grass, 2 more feet of snow were dumped on us. So now we're officially into spring. This will be coming out a few days after spring is kicked off. So you can already tell that there's a little more buzz in the air. We are certainly here riding the tide of it. And what better way to ring in the spring than to get back into our tier rankings? And this is an interesting one. I figured that we've talked here and there about managers in the past. We've talked here and there about factions. So why not do a tier ranking of manager-led stables? So it's not the traditional, hey, these are, a bunch of wrestlers that got together. You won't see the 4 horsemen on here, although J.J. Dillon technically would count as a manager. You won't see DX. You won't see the NWO. All the ones that they talk about in, the annals of wrestling history. We are really focusing on the manager and the men that manager looked over during their particular run in a company. Some of these are brief. I think we've got a few that are maybe only 2 years in time length, but other ones, close to 10 years in some circumstances. So I think this is a pretty ripe category, and I think one that's going to give us a lot to digest. In general, before we get started, what do you think makes the stable a trope that they go back to time and time again when it comes to a manager-led stable or team or group, whatever you want to call it?
So, the stable as opposed to the faction, I find to be like an interesting dynamic between the two, where the faction is more of a group of individuals with a like-minded cause that come together to do something as a unit, where the stable themselves is a guy almost like Ash Ketchum, where he's a Pokemon trainer, and he's out to catch them all, and he's trying to put together the most impressive roster that he can, that doesn't necessarily work together all the time,
right?
But make him look like the prominent figure in said group of people.
That makes sense. Yeah. I agree. It's a sometimes they will team together, but most of the time they're setting out on their own. And you'll see, like, as we go through some of these, obviously we'll highlight some of the real big success stories in some of these stables, and then other ones where it looks great on paper, but nobody ever went anywhere, or vice versa. Some may surprise you. So to kick this one off, we're going to go with in my opinion, the quintessential pro wrestling stable, led by, and Bobby Heenan will tell you himself, he doesn't manage a stable because a stable is where you keep horses. His is a family. So we're going to start with the Bobby Heenan family. Runtime for the Heenan family would have been from 1984 to right around 1990, which is when he officially, and then we'll call that the official end to this, even though he did kind of dip his toe back into managing before he left WWF in 93. But this is going to be his chunk of time where he was truly a manager. And so that will cover 84 through, and he did, obviously, he did lead a version of the Heenan family in the AWA as well as in Georgia Championship Wrestling. But let's look at the men that made up the Bobby Heenan family during his time in the World Wrestling Federation. His blue chipper, the first guy that he took under his wing in the World Wrestling Federation, was Big John Studd. Followed shortly by Ken Patera. The missing link was a member of the Heenan family, very briefly. King Kong Bundy.
Ugh.
You always hate Bundy. Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, who actually had 2 stints in the Bobby Heenan family. The King Harley Race. Another crown jewel of the Bobby Heenan family was Andre the Giant.
Yes.
Ravishing Rick Rude. Hercules Hernandez. Haku and Tama, the Islanders, as a team. In addition, for one appearance at a TV taping, High Chief C.V. Afi was a member of the Heenan family. This was right before Tama of the Islanders got fired. And I think they were trying to swap out Tama for C.V. Afi. And C.V. Afi was a job guy. And it did not fly for the for that. And Haku split off, became King Haku on his own. You've also got the Barbarian, who was part of the Heenan family towards the end of the run. Yeah. Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig. The Red Rooster, Terry Taylor. As mentioned in our last episode, there was a short alliance between Taylor and Heenan, which led to the Brooklyn Brawler, the second quote-unquote job guy that Heenan employed. And then Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson, collectively known as the Brainbusters. So that rounds it out. I don't think we missed anybody else in the group. Opening thoughts, Tom. What do you think of the cast of characters in the Bobby Heenan family?
So it's. I feel like when you say it's the quintessential stable, that kind of encompasses it, because you have jobbers to the mainest of main event guys in this stable.
Yes.
And maybe not all at the same time, but over its 6-year run in the WWF, you do have the likes of one of the first Hall of Fame inductees, and then the epitome of job wrestlers, the Brooklyn Brawler. So it's the highest of highs and the lowest of
lowest of lows. Yes.
But I would say that Heenan, for the guys that were at the top, Heenan did a lot. For the ones that maybe couldn't do the best job cutting promos. He elevated the younger guys like Perfect and Rude when they first started in the WWF in particular, and then he also made guys like maybe C.V. Afi or the Brooklyn Brawler or the Red Rooster a point of emphasis just by being associated with Bobby Heenan himself.
Sure. Yeah. What kind of jumps out at me when I look at this is the amount of Hogan opponents that are in this.
Well, I would say that is if not Andre the Giant. Yeah. Bobby Heenan is really Hulk Hogan's ultimate nemesis.
His nemesis, yeah. That's an excellent way to put it. That is certainly something that sort of ties together, because you've got Bundy main evented with him in WrestleMania 2, Andre WrestleMania 3, Orndorff in between the Manias was a long, 6-month program with Hogan. Studd had his run with Hogan in 84 and 85. Harley Race. Rude should have had a program with him, but they apparently had no chemistry. He worked Hercules. He worked Haku, worked Kurt Hennig. So yeah, I mean, you got it. Like this is where, and even Patera. I think when Patera first came in, he was mostly teaming with Stud, but then there were obviously some title shots that he got. So that's really what we were talking about. You said at the very beginning, where the stable doesn't necessarily work in tandem all the time, but there's a common goal here, and you've got guys that are at the top of the main events that are using Heenan. I'm gonna say this, and it's gonna be crazy to start off with an S. I think the Heenan family's an S tier to start off with,
and I think that is based on Bobby Heenan, not so much the members of it in totality. But I mean, he's the best manager of all time.
Of course, yeah.
And so when I would say every single person that in the Heenan family benefited in some way, shape, or form from being associated with Bobby Heenan, more so than Bobby Heenan benefited from being associated with them.
Right.
So Heenan family S tier. I have no qualms with that.
S tier, despite the fact, again, I just want to reiterate that Stevie Aoki is on this list, and
that's true.
The Brooklyn Brawler and the goddamn missing link. Who, if you look at also like if you're looking at like the guys that Heenan managed that didn't necessarily like the missing link thought that Bobby Heenan was going to like bring him to the airport and like do his travel for him and and basically like babysit him so he could stay in gimmick. And Heenan was like, I'm only your manager for the 5 minutes that we're out at the ring. Like the rest of the time you're on your own. And then Rick Rude famously didn't like being paired up with Heenan because he thought that Heenan stole a lot of his heat. But they made a great pair. Like they had incredible chemistry, and Rude always had good feuds in the WWF. So yeah, I still think despite some of the hiccups, I think this still gets high praise, and the S tier is going to be a lot to contend with.
If you just look at, if you dismiss some of the underlings of the Heenan family, the Brainbusters, you got Andre the Giant, you got Mr. Perfect, like
title hold,
Harley Race.
Yeah,
I mean, we're talking about A1 Hall of Fame talent there. So it's like, of course, when it comes to a stable that especially that lasts for 6 years, there's going to be some miscast characters in there, but
they can't all be home runs.
The highs of it are the highest of highs.
Yes, and that's funny. Like even though Andre's technically a recognized heavyweight champion and handed the belt over, Rude was a multi-time. He was an intercontinental champion under Heenan. Brainbusters tag team champions. Haku and Andre tag team champions.
Perfect was an intercontinental
Perfect IC champion. So yeah, I mean that's a baseline, and I'm sure that'll come up. As we go through a lot of these stables, is who were your title holders and who were your main event guys, and I think Heenan definitely the scales are tipped because there's a lot of main eventers on his family, so to speak. So let's move along. I don't know how familiar you are with number one Paul Jones.
Not the most familiar. I will say that.
All right. Well, Paul Jones was a famous wrestler in like the Mid-Atlantic in the 60s and the 70s into the early 80s. Multiple-time tag team champion, NWA World Tag Team Champion, television champion, Mid-Atlantic champion. Got into managing, I think, around 83, 84.
Okay.
And Paul Jones is always considered to be a cartoon character come to life. And when I say that, like if you look at the managers in the NWA in the mid 80s, you had J.J. Dillon, who is the manager of the Four Horsemen, who's the cunning businessman who's managing the four best athletes and title holders in the company. Then there's Jim Cornette, who's the hyperactive mama's boy heat magnet. In the middle of them is Paul Jones, who's basically, you're familiar with the Jetsons cartoon, right?
Yes.
He's basically Mr. Spacely. He's always fuming. Usually during his time in Jim Crocker Promotions, he's feuding and his men are feuding with Handsome Jimmy Valiant, the Boogie Woogie Man, and Dusty Rhodes. And, sometimes it's Manny Fernandez and sometimes it's, the Rock and Roll Express a little bit. So, he's kind of like undercard. He's got a lot of undercard guys, but he always has this constant rotation of sort of like weirdos and oddities. And when he would be on television, one year he's got military fatigues on and he's got a riding crop and he's like a general, Paul Jones. Then they start off 87 and he's almost has a cowboy outfit on, like an old Western villain cowboy outfit with frilly sleeves and a bolero jacket and a flat brim hat. And he's this sort of old Western villain. So he's an absolute character. He's one of the most underrated nincompoop managers that was out there in the 80s. Managed again from about 83 to about 80. I guess the end of 88 was when he left Crocker Promotions. But always memorable if you watch the old WCW TV shows. So let's go through the guys that were under the management of what they called the Paul Jones Army, which again is just a stupid name for it. The first guy that he had under his tutelage was Abdul the Butcher.
Okay. Abdul
the Butcher, it's just, we talk about Abdul the Butcher, I think almost on every episode. He's just the best. In addition, he managed Baron von Raschke, the Barbarian, a gentleman by the name of Tejo Khan, who I think I mentioned not too long ago, from, I believe he was from Mongolia. Just a weird, bad wrestler. Often teamed with the Barbarian. Also the Warlord. So the Powers of Pain were under Paul Jones's tutelage. Rick Rude and Manny Fernandez were the World Tag Team Champions. The Raging Bull, R&R Express, Raging and Rude. One of the most underrated tag teams, I think, of the and a brief run. I think they were 6 months or 8 months as tag team champions. Those matches with the Rock and Roll Express, I encourage you to go back and watch some of those. Ivan Koloff and Vladimir Petrov, they were kind of the Russian team that were under Paul Jones. He briefly managed Superstar Billy Graham. The Mighty Wilbur, who was an interesting character because he was this sort of lovable hillbilly that Paul Jones tried to mentally control and make him do dastardly things, but he would inevitably disobey Paul Jones, and he would get so steamed, and Mighty Wilbur would call him Puddinhead. Just such an endearing situation. And then back when he first started in Crocker Promotions, he did manage Jake the Snake Roberts for a little while. Tully Blanchard when he first came in, very briefly Tully Blanchard, and then also Kamala when Kamala would make little visits into to JCP. So that's a group. That's a lot of people to think about under the tutelage of number one Paul Jones. If you look at those, tell me what sticks out to you the most out of that group of characters, more than anything, characters.
Well, one thing that I'm going to mention, and it's going to be mentioned throughout this entire episode, we're two stables in, and we already have 3 crossovers from the Heenan family to the Paul Jones Army.
Yes.
So a lot of these guys are career stablemen. They just can't work alone.
The Barbarian is a stable. Yeah. That's a good name for him. The stableman.
Yes. One thing that sticks out is, especially when you lay out the timeline of it, is he got some of these guys before they popped.
Yeah.
So, you're getting Rude, you're getting Jake, you're getting Tully, you're getting Manny Fernandez, you're getting Abdullah before they really ascend to superstardom.
Okay.
So this is more of like an underneath stable, more so than the Heenan family, where it's a mixture of the main event guys and the under guys. This is more of we're Paul Jones is almost the mentor to the younger guys coming up in JCP at the time.
Yeah.
Aside from Superstar Billy Graham,
and I think he had Superstar Billy Graham right after he stopped being Karate Billy Graham and he went back to tie dye, I think, or maybe he was still Karate, but
hopefully,
which would make it more hilarious. I want Karate Billy Graham, all the time.
Because if you team up Karate Billy Graham with Abdul the Butcher, you have maybe the greatest tag team of all time.
No bumps, all chops. Monsters. This is the one thing that I will say. Like Paul Jones was ripe with monsters. Barbarian, Tijo Khan, Abby, Kamala, Von Raschke to a certain extent, and even Ivan Koloff, I think, could be categorized as like a foreign menace for sure. But that lack of real significant title holders other than Fernandez and Rude, I think that sinks this a bit. And as much as I love Paul Jones, that's gonna be points off. I'll defer to you, Tom. What do you think?
Okay, and this is something that I'm noticing, not only just looking at this one, but looking down the list. It seems like the stable is a very heel group of people. Yeah. I don't think we have a single face stable on this list.
Not really. I think there are going to be a few that you can debate.
Exist. Yeah. And it's more so fan favorite wrestlers than the group itself is managed by a babyface manager.
Yes.
Yes. But yeah, that's also something that I just kind of picked up on is it's a lot of heel work. But I will say that the Paul Jones Army doesn't have the allure of the Heenan family.
Right.
And I don't know if it's that I'm not as familiar with it. I would go with a solid B.
Oh, that's high.
For the Paul Jones Army. Because you do have a lot of big names, and albeit before maybe they popped, but you have a solid cast of characters here.
Right.
And again, that may be because of the fact that I'm not as familiar with it, is that I don't know exactly the role that they were playing in JCP in the 5-year period that they were around. But given 5 years is, compared to some of the other ones we have on here, a pretty lengthy period of time to have a group like this together.
Right.
So, given my knowledge of it, I'll say it's a B.
You're gonna go B, okay. Just because I know a little bit more about them, I'm gonna give the Paul Jones Army a D.
Whoa. Okay.
Because they're goofs. The bottom line is they're goofs. Paul Jones always wanted to fight Boogie Woogie Jimmy Valiant. We're here cutting hair. I forgot. They don't even have him on the list. Shaska Watley was part of the Paul Jones Army, too. Old Pistol Pez.
That's gonna knock it down.
That knocks it down. All of a sudden, you're reevaluating. But in all honesty, like, this is a group designed to fill out your mid card, and yes, although like Rude and Bull were the tag champs, and also Warlord and the Barbarian with Ivan Koloff were the 6-man tag team champions. but it still isn't enough to. He's a sentimental favorite, but this is a group of. I mean, T. Joe Khan.
Well, so that's kind of what I was alluding to. Is like on paper, if you just read these names without the context of that 5-year period of time.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna say like, oh, this guy's a Hall of Famer. That guy's great. Yeah.
That's where I'm coming from. So I would defer to you on this. I don't know if you want to meet in the middle and go C or keep him at a D. That's your call.
Well, here's what we're gonna. What I'm gonna do. I'm running our. I have a division here. Your side and my side. So. Okay. You've got him on a B tier. You've got the Paul Jones Army on a B tier. I've got him on a D tier. I think we can safely say that on consensus they're going to end up in the C, which is first of all, Paul Jones would smash his riding crop on the desk and say that he's being undermined by both of us, and he'll make up and he'll tell us that he's going to send the barbarian after us. So that's the little taste of what you're going to get from number one Paul Jones. So let's get to a little bit more modern. Well, more modern than the 80s. We're going to go back to the World Wrestling Federation, and we're going to look at the Jim Cornette's Camp Cornette faction. Let me see if I can pull this up. Might take a second.
This is one that I am much more familiar with.
Right. Oh, yeah. There's some winners in this one. Bear with me for a sec. I've got to find him. I've got to find a link to him without going crazy. So Jimmy Cornette comes onto the scene in the World Wrestling Federation in 1993 and is an on-screen manager until 98. Obviously, we know Jim from, as I mentioned, Crockett Promotions before that, Bill Watts' Mid-South, World Class, Memphis. We're not talking about his like he was primarily with the Midnight Express and a few others in every territory up until when he got to the WWF. But we're going to be talking about his time in WWF when he was leading Camp Cornette. Here's a list of names that he had under his tutelage while working for the World Wrestling Federation. Started as the manager of Yokozuna. At that time, he was also managing the Heavenly Bodies, Dr. Tom Pritchard and Gigolo Jimmy Del Rey. He went on to manage Owen Hart, Vader, Davey Boy Smith, one of your favorites, Mantar.
Goat.
Later on, when they revived the NWA, he had he had Jeff Jarrett. He had the Rock and Roll Express for some reason. He had Barry Windham. He had Sal Sincere. I don't know if I remember that all that much.
No, I don't remember that.
And he did manage, at some point he managed the Headhunters in the WWF.
And didn't he have the new...
yes, he did. He had the new Midnight Express, which was Bombastic Bart and
Bodacious Bob
and Big Bob Holly. So, Cornette's got. I mean, tag team specialist. We'll just say that he was certainly. Yes. And if you look at the history,
multi-time tag team champions.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Every little territory he went into, and even like managing in the WWF, like Owen and Yoko, tag team champions. Davey Boy and Owen. So what do you think what jumps out at you? Again, we're going to use that phrase a few times. Like, tell me what you think of Cornette as a WWF manager.
Okay, this one is weird, right? Because you had the main event guys in Yoko and Vader.
Hmm.
I don't know how much Cornette added to uh them at all.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
honestly, I know that Yoko is associated with Camp Cornette. When I think of Yokozuna, I think of Mr. Fuji. I don't
True.
really think of Jim Cornette all that much.
Hmm. Yep.
Um, he did have like that. I feel like Yoko's heavyweight title run is associated with Fuji.
Fuji. Right.
Yoko's like everything after him kind of falling off the cliff is what I associate with Cornette.
Hmm.
Like that his time with Cornette. Of course, Owen and Bulldog, awesome. Were
Yeah.
great tag team champions at the time. The Heavenly Bodies and all like the NWA type stuff that they did, kind of it's fun to go back and watch, but at the time, kind of felt out of place.
Okay.
In the company, not so much like not for Cornette, but like all of that stuff, just like that NW, especially the later one. Not
Well,
the
that's
Heavenly
what I'm
Bodies
saying.
so
Like
much.
the first one with the Heavenly Bodies was they were coming in as the Smoky Mountain Tag Team Champions.
Yeah. So like,
Right.
and they're feuding with like who, like the Steiners maybe.
They had matches with the Steiners. They had I think 2 pay-per-views with the Rock and Roll, and then they had they're wrestling like Well Done and like the Smoking Guns.
Yeah. Smoking Guns.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know. It feels like he was never set up for success with the guys that he had under his belt.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It feels like he was kind of always like I don't. So this is not a knock on the stable itself, but more so the booking of the stable.
Sure.
It felt like Cornette and anyone he was associated with was looked at as less than because they weren't maybe the forefront of
I could see that.
what the company wanted at the time.
Yeah.
So they kind of got pushed to the side.
Interesting.
What and I'm saying specifically when they're associated with him. I feel like Vader was doomed to fail from the beginning. In that company, Yoko was kind of like they're trying to get him to lose weight and all this stuff behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And Fuji can't really talk for him. He can't really talk, so
yeah, Jimmy's there as the American spokesperson.
He's an attraction. So we stick him with Cornette. I feel like Owen kind of always had the stigma that he and same with Davey. They couldn't really talk well, so you throw him with Cornette.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They're great in the ring, but they can't reach that next level. So you stick them with a guy that everyone from the inside perspective at the company at the time, he's got the Southern accent.
Yes. Yeah.
He'll draw natural heat to the Northwest or the Northeast fans.
Yep.
It's not a bad group of people. I think it's a miscast group, in my opinion.
Makes sense.
I think that he was put in a shitty situation because he kind of always got the guys on their downward trajectory. All
right. So you're saying that specifically because Mantar really didn't do anything of note?
Well, mainly because at WrestleMania 11 we didn't get Mantar versus Lawrence Taylor.
Would have made sense.
And a subsequent Mantar world title run.
Right.
Also, I would have loved to see Gigolo Jimmy Del Rey win the 1996 Royal Rumble. So I don't, I feel like Jim Cornette doesn't get his just due.
Missed opportunities.
Yes. If we're gonna go letter grades here, I'm going to go C, only because it felt like this was a downtime in the company, and he was supposed to be the main heel manager,
Right. Yeah.
and put together the main heel group that just felt it felt disjointed, and it felt like they never really got. And every time that he had a guy that was placed into that main event spot, it failed.
It was short-lived. Yeah.
It was short-lived, short run, and they pivoted.
When did so he's with Vader from the beginning?
From the beginning up until only for about a year. Really.
97?
Yeah, because once Vader started like teaming with Mankind,
he's with Paul Bearer after that, right?
Yeah,
okay.
that's when Cornette goes away.
Well, that's I was going to say that's when,
maybe less than a year. Really.
Yeah, he
about a year.
Interesting, and that's a type of thing. This is all right, and I'll get to the letter grade in a second. I appreciate all the insight there. Here's the thing about Jim is, I think you hit a lot of stuff like nail on the head. You've got, he's a tag along manager and a mouthpiece for Yokozuna. Yeah, he still has a little bit time, with him as he's the heavyweight champion. Managed him, technically was at ringside with him for a WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Should have had that with Vader. To me, he didn't fit with Vader. And I will stand with the whole Vader's a big guy and Vader should have a manager. Harley Race was great with Vader in WCW. Cornette just did not because it makes sense, because if you're looking at Vader, you're saying like his mentor is going to be the toughest guy in wrestling, in the history of wrestling, and that's Harley Race. That's going to be a multi-time world champion that led him to the promised land. He would slap Jim Cornette in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Because he's annoying.
You can't position a guy as a monster and have a chicken shit heel manager.
Yes. You're absolutely right. And any time that he was like in a feud with Shawn Michaels, it's Cornette versus Jose Lothario, who can't hold a candle to Jim when it comes to like a talking debate. Absolutely. So I think you said it a couple times. There's a lot of miscasting when it comes to the guys that were in Cornette's stable. I did forget that he did manage Dan Severn with that NWA shit. And that's another guy that it's like, yeah, Dan Severn can't talk to save his life. But why would they put Severn with Jim Cornette? He would snap Jim Cornette's neck in half. So yeah, I think I'll agree with you though, just because he was so prominent on television and he did a lot of he hyped a lot of these guys up, even though they didn't really fit with him that well. But I'll stick him in a C tier as well, and we'll see where we go from there. Because just to kind of put a note on this, the Heavenly Bodies probably should have been the World Tag Team Champions at some point in WWF.
Sure. Yeah.
And then you probably could have said hey, Cornette, he did figure one thing out, and the thing that he figured out was that, we've got a great great working tag team. Maybe they're a little bit Memphis style, but regardless, he should have been given a lot more runway with the fellas. So
for sure.
So
tag team specialist for sure.
Yeah, that without a doubt.
If he were to just have managed a complete stable of different tag teams, which would have been kind of cool, because I don't think they've ever really done that. That would have, I think, could have notched it up a bit.
What's funny about that is he was doing that in Smoky Mountain, where he's managing the Heavenly Bodies. He's also managing the Bruise Brothers, the Harris twins.
Okay.
He was managing, I think, Al Snow and Unabomber for a little while too. Like, so because he's running the territory, he's like, I'm the guy that's going to be able to get these guys over, and I need to, kind of show that off to a national audience. So, or try to show that off to not a national audience, but my regional audience. So that certainly gets a lot more push and emphasis when he's working regionally.
Yeah.
When you bring him to the big time, they're looking at it and they're like, Jim Cornette is he's a heat magnet. Our fans are going to hate him. We're going to try to put him with main event guys, but it just didn't. The clicking wasn't kicking in for Jimmy. So we get him in a C tier. His spiritual nemesis is next up. And that's Paulie Dangerously, a.k.a. Paul Heyman. We're going to be focusing in on his NWA WCW reign, which would have been from the end of 88 to just about beginning of 1993. Polarizing character. Just to give you a little bit of backstory, this would have been right around the time that Paul Jones, sayonara, he was out of the Crockett Promotions, and they brought in Paulie. Paulie came in first managing the original Midnight Express in a feud versus Jim Cornette and the established Midnight Express. The original Midnight Express was Loverboy Dennis Condrey and Ravishing Randy Rose. They had been in Memphis together. They had been in Continental together just before they went to the NWA. They were the AWA World Tag Team Champions for a brief period with Paulie. They make the jump to the NWA/WCW at the time, and the media feud is with Jim Cornette's version of the Midnight Express. You've got them, some really good encounters, and then you have the two managers, whether they're debating with each other, wrestling with each other, you name it, they were in each other's face. From there, Paulie manages the Samoan SWAT team, who you may know as the Head Shrinkers. That's Samu and Fatu. He had them very briefly. They split from him, and he kind of went into more broadcasting, and he wasn't really managing anyone until he bought the contract of Mean Mark Callis from Teddy Long. And Mean Mark Callis would later become The Undertaker. So Paulie's got him basically at the beginning of his career. He took another sabbatical through the end of 91 to do, or I guess I shouldn't say till about October of 91, he was still doing broadcasting and little segments on TV. Comes back at Halloween Havoc as a manager in 1991 and introduces Ravishing Rick Rude. He's managing Rick Rude, and he's starting to build what he's calling the Dangerous Alliance, which would include Rick Rude, Arn Anderson, Larry Zbyszko, Beautiful Bobby Eaton, Medusa as the director of covert operations for the Dangerous Alliance, and a very young, stunning Steve Austin. And that was it for Paulie. He left in 93, early part of 93. But the Dangerous Alliance is really what the main focus here is going to be. Again, a good tag team, a couple good tag teams in that group with Zbyszko and Arn and Bobby Eaton and Arn. And man, what a set of main event guys. What do you think of this group, the Paul Heyman led Dangerous Alliance in World Championship Wrestling?
So if we're talking strictly about what they did while they were in this group, you do have two sets of tag team champions, I believe, and you have a world heavyweight champion.
Wait.
Rude.
Rude wasn't. He was okay. So this is weird because
Was that after he left?
I think it was after he left. I think that was in '93, post Paulie. He was the United States champion a couple times.
Okay. All right, and then you maybe Austin held like TV title.
He was TV. Yep,
in
he's
this
a TV champ.
in this time.
Yep, you got it.
Probably before his U.S. title run.
Yes.
Listen, this was Heyman coming into his own, really, on national TV anyway. He did a lot, and this group was the main focus of the year 1991, essentially.
Oh yeah.
As on the heel side of the WCW, this is right after losing, or right around losing Ric Flair.
Mm-hmm. You got it.
So they are like in desperate need of heel opponents for any of their baby faces.
Right.
Flair's gone, Sid's gone. Vader's just starting. They really don't have anyone established.
Yeah, Luger was there, but he left
there,
in
but he
left in early '92, right?
Yeah, but he was like kind of he was like a floater in between. He would go back and forth.
Yeah, well, that's the story of his life.
So like yeah. So this was like the main, and I'm pretty sure this was the big War Games match that year was the Dangerous Alliance.
Yep. Versus Sting's guys, yeah.
Yeah. Short-lived run for the Solid Collective, not just the guys that he managed while he was there.
Yep.
Like you said, the Samoan SWAT team and stuff. But like the like proper Dangerous Alliance, short-lived run, but impactful. It really was, like I said, it's the heel side of pretty much everything that's going on in the title picture of WCW in especially 1991.
Yeah.
And he was really building that character up at that time. So between him and the guys that and gals that he put together in this group, I'm going letter grade here. I go B, strictly off of name, identity, titles, importance, especially importance in the company, for their time that they were around. I'll go solid B tier.
Yeah, this is again, it's another sweet spot in my fandom where when they were announced as a group, as a collective on television, I can still remember it. Like, he brings them all out one by one and talks about like how great they are, and and the accolades, and he talks highly about Austin. And this is the other thing that you kind of have to think about when he's sort of like, he's forming this super stable, and he's telling you they're going after Sting, they're going after tag team titles, they're going after Nikita Koloff or Steamboat or whoever it is. Like, he's basically saying like, we're going to just stand back. We're going to dominate this for a good amount of time, and there's nothing you can do to stop us. And it's Paulie at his most compelling, I think, up until the sort of the legend of Paulie happened. I think this is his best managerial stint for sure. And the fact that it was, just about a calendar year is really sort of like, that's the eye-opening part where you're like, holy shit, like this guy did all of this within a year and still had time to still do commentary, still do his Danger Zone segments on TV. It's just a shame that there wasn't like a conclusion to it per se. Everybody just sort of wandered away from Paul, and he slowly faded into the background because he clashed with Bill Watts. Bill Watts didn't want to use him on television anymore, and ended up getting himself fired. But it's the sort of thing where it's like, well, what if, this had kept going? Like, you're seeing Steve Austin become a semi-main eventer at this point. Bobby Eaton and Arn Anderson are being used to like bolster a tag team division. And they're feuding with Dustin Rhodes and Barry Windham. And, so like all of this is gelling together perfectly. And there's still a main event scene, right? You still have Luger with a world title. And then eventually you have Vader with a world title and Ron Simmons contending for it. So like there's a lot of like stuff that he was doing to like kind of lay the base. You said a solid B on this one.
Yeah.
I'm going with an A.
Okay.
I think the Dangerous Alliance is although it's short, like it could be S tier if it ended up being a longer period of time. But I'm going to give him for the time that he was there, I'm going to give him an A. Also, like I said at the very beginning of what I was talking about, this is my favorite version of Paulie Dangerously. Just putting together, and here, this is, the icing on the cake is what he had done, again, as a tag team manager, sort of to build up to this. You would think on the way that he was handled on television that there's no way that they were going to let Paulie manage like main event guys. He was going to be just like, hey, I'm going to, bring up the next superstar and just be a nice mid-card manager and be an occasional call and commentary and do it that way. And he said, no, I'm making these guys, the second that they're established, they're the most important guys on WCW TV.
I can agree with an A, just because the only reason I gave it a B was because of the short stint that it had.
Okay.
But like you said, to do all of that in a year essentially is pretty remarkable.
Yeah. Yeah. Hats off to Paul. And also, this was before Paul had to wear hats. Moving right along, we're going to get to probably the most modern stable that we've got currently in
the only one still going.
The only one still going in the world of wrestling that's led by a manager, a sort of a disciple, you might say, of Paulie, and that is the magnanimous Don Callis and the ever-expanding Don Callis family in All Elite Wrestling. This might take me hours to go through these guys. You thought Heenan had managed a lot of guys. This is... I like to refer to the Don Callis family as almost like the modern-day NWO. Next week, 5 more guys are going to join, and it's just going to be a smorgasbord. But starting from himself, the leader, the invisible hand, Don Callis himself. He currently has Kenosis, and this is he came into AEW, I guess, in 2002, but wasn't really official until about, I should say, 2022. And he really wasn't officially with them until 2023. So he's building the family in 2023. Konosuke Takeshita, Kyle Fletcher, the protostar, Trent Beretta, Lance Archer, Brian Cage, Mark Davis, the Walking Weapon, Josh Alexander, Rocky Romero, the Alchemist, Hechicero, Kazuchika Okada, Wardlow is still in the Don Callis family.
Wardlow is missing.
Limbo.
Wardlow is on a milk carton.
Andrade El Idolo, El Clone, and I guess the most recent member is Jack Doyle. And there were a few guys that were part of the Don Callis family in years past. Sammy Guevara was with him. Will Ospreay, Roosh, Powerhouse Hobbs all had brief stints with Don Callis, but it's a murderer's row for old Dandy Don. Fuck Don Callis, as the crowd says. Give me your thoughts on the Don Callis family.
So this for sure is the modern day Heenan family. I mean, there's 100 guys in this stable. Half of AEW's roster,
yes,
is in this stable, and it's like I kind of like it, and I'm kind of like, do we need to keep adding people to this?
Right. Yeah.
But now it's like it was at the point where it was just where like you tell the same joke over and over, and it's funny the first few times, and then it like loses its luster.
Yeah.
But then if you keep telling it, it gets funny again. That's where we're at with the Don Callis family. Like Tony Schiavone is going to be in the Don Callis family next, probably as we're recording, probably by tonight.
Yeah, he's lined up. He's lined up.
It's like you said, it's a murderer's row.
Mm-hmm.
Consistently, title holders. Consistently main event guys.
Oh yeah.
You have a lot. I mean, Takeshita, Kyle Fletcher. They're two of the biggest stars in AEW right now, and kind of got all of the oomph that they have joining the Don Callis family.
Right. Right.
Their heel turns were what really, like, their big heel turns were what propelled them, and I think that being associated with him really helped a lot. I mean, if you think about it, Don Callis was associated with the Elite when he first came into
yes, that's
AEW.
Right. Yeah.
Because he came in from his role in TNA once Kenny won the TNA title.
Yes.
So I mean, if you want to even include part of that into it, that there's that too. But the Don Callis family is truly the only modern stable in almost all of wrestling.
Well, technically, Paulie has the Vision over in WWE.
I mean,
yeah.
Okay. So if you want to include Logan Paul,
well, then listen, that's Paulie's pick. It's not my pick.
Logan, if you want,
I'll take Okada Logan any Paul, day over Logan Paul. You know that.
Logan Paul and what's
Austin fucking Theory.
Austin Theory. Yeah. But you've got Okada.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You've got Fletcher. You've got Takeshita. At one point, you had Ospreay. At one point, you had Powerhouse Hobbs.
Andrade's here, and Andrade's been excellent since coming back.
New addition, Andrade, unbelievable addition.
Yeah.
You have what's going to be an incredible tag team once Jake Doyle gets healthy. In him and Mark Davis, you have the current international champion in Okada. You have the current TNT champion in Kyle Fletcher. You have the current trios champions.
They just dropped those belts.
Oh yeah, they lost on Sunday, but I mean, you had the trios championship. It's a murderer's row. I think Andrade is soon to hold gold.
Yeah.
Being that there's 1,000 titles, he's bound to win one of them.
You got it. Yeah.
Takeshita, same thing. I thought he was going to win this past Sunday.
It's only a matter of time.
Soon to be a champion.
Well, he is the New Japan World Television Champion.
Yeah, and he was the New
Japan
World Heavyweight. Yeah. He was IWGP Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah.
And then you have guys who, I mean, are viewed as undercard guys in AEW, but other places they've been, Lance Archer, Josh Alexander,
Cage.
Hechicero,
Yeah.
Brian Cage, top guys.
Yeah.
And just based on the sheer roster that the company has, are holding a lesser role at the moment, but have all the potential in the world to do big things there. I think that this is the best stable that the business has seen in a very, very, very long time. Although it's fuck Don Callis, I will give the Don Callis family an A.
An A. I think I'm going to agree with you. The talent alone, plus like you've got role players. This is that's what's always important because especially with modern wrestling, you're going to have multi-man tag teams. You're going to have beatdown segments and revenge segments. Some people have to take a licking, and the fact that they are still associated with Callis, with the Takeshkas, with the Kyle Fletchers, with the Okadas of the world, they're still partners and teammates with them. So if you're looking at Mark Davis, who takes a lot of pins, if you're looking at Beretta, you're looking at Rocky Romero, El Clone, whoever it may be, they're all role players. Josh Alexander's a role player. And these guys still go out and have great matches and get themselves over as talents in unison with the greater good, which is whatever Mr. Callis wants to do and whatever title he wants to take next or feud he wants to start. He's got horses to do it. We're in agreement that Don Callis right now, he's like he's the bastard son of Bobby Heenan and Paulie Dangerously together. So he's an A tier for the Callis family. By the time this sentence is over, 9 more guys have joined and turned on him too. So just remember that. So to the next one, after the Don Callis family, let's go to, this one might be a little bit of a blind spot for you, but I think you can follow me here. Let's look at the WCW stable. From 1993 to 1997, managed by Colonel Robert Parker, a.k.a. Robert Fuller. You've got the Stud Stable.
I am well aware of the Stud Stable.
All right, good. I'm glad it's not... Unfortunately. Well, so let's go down the guys that he mentioned. And again, Robert Fuller did manage and back up some guys in other places, but specifically for his time in WCW, he managed Buckhouse Buck, Arn Anderson, mentioned before, Stunning Steve Austin, mentioned before, Terry Funk. He managed Meng, a.k.a. Haku. Dirty Dick Slater. And that was pretty much... Oh, and Sid Vicious in WCW.
Yep. The Blacktop Bully. Don't forget the
Blacktop Bully. Barry Darso. You betcha. Goddamn, Blacktop Bully was also... kind of had a little bit of a stake in Harlem Heat. The less said about him managing the Harlem Heat, the better.
Yep.
But also he had Kurosawa as for a brief period of time. Kurosawa was this guy called Chris Champion, who was portraying. No, I'm sorry. Kurosawa was a wrestler who was on excursion from New Japan. That was a submission guy. Not really all that memorable, but he was there. But anyway, let me hear what you have to say about old Colonel Parker's Stud Stable.
I vividly remember the Stud Stable from WCW Turner Home Video.
Mm-hmm.
My first, my first, the first thing that I think about of the stud stable is seeing Dirty Dick Slater and Bunkhouse Buck
Uh-huh.
be accompanied to the ring by Colonel Robert Parker and Meng dressed as Neo from The Matrix.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, I fucking hate everyone on this screen right now.
Wow.
Yeah. That, I mean, this, to call it the stud stable is a wild move.
Well, all right. Do you want me to explain that real fast?
I do, but at the same time, I have to say, for all the shitting on that I'm going to do of the stud stable,
Yeah.
the fact that we subjected Terry Funk to this is fucking criminal.
Well, I mean, Arn Anderson and Steve Austin were in this group too. Like,
I understand.
let's not undersell that.
I do understand that. Steve Austin, understandably so, because this was before anything really hit.
Yeah, yeah.
Arn, career stableman.
Faction man.
Guy loved a group around him.
Just matching shirts and coats and fucking, yeah, just shoulder to shoulder with a bunch of buds.
Yeah, he's a guy's guy.
Yeah,
He's one of the boys. He's one of the boys.
This is the third faction this guy's been in.
Arn was just looking for a couple guys he could crack a fucking few Coors Lights with before and after the show.
And who better to do that standing next to Ming?
Exactly.
Or fucking Dick Slater.
Anyone fucks with you, bite their nose off.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, stud. Okay, where do we come? Where does the name Stud Stable come from?
So Robert Fuller, who eventually became Colonel Robert Parker, was the Tennessee stud Robert Fuller, and used this Stud Stable moniker in like pretty much everywhere. Southwest Championship Wrestling, Southeastern Wrestling, Pensacola, a little bit of time in Memphis, a little bit of time in Texas. Like, so yeah, he always had like he was like a player manager when he was a wrestler. So he would always have like guys that he was teaming with, and they would be his stud stable. Mostly it is, and Bunkhouse Buck was like tied to him at the hip. I think they're cousins in real life, but
not to interrupt. The only information I have about Bunkhouse Buck is from what I saw on Turner Home Video from 1993 to 1995. Can you please delve a little bit deeper into the lore of Bunkhouse Buck?
So Bunkhouse Buck is again, he's Jimmy Golden elsewhere, and he's kind of Bunkhouse Buck was like taking the cowboy trope into like the nth degree. He's got the dirty overall, the dirty long johns with jeans over them, chewed up gloves, looks like shit. Jimmy Golden was kind of a little bit more like a technical wrestler.
Really?
Yeah, and not like I'm not saying he's like Bob Backlund or Kurt Angle or anything like that, but like he's either teaming with Fuller or he's feuding against him a lot of times. So there's obviously chemistry between them, and everywhere they went, they all went together. So it was this sort of like the Fuller family carnival ride, or the Welsh family carnival ride, whatever you want to call it. Wherever they went, they were sort of tied at the hip. To me, like seeing what he did in like Continental, he was like unspectacular, but he was always like co-holder to the tag team titles. So it made sense for the time to say like, all right, well, let's fill out the stud stable. Let's bring Jimmy Golden in. Let's make him Bunkhouse Buck. He's going to team with Dick Slater. And they're going to look exactly the same as each other. And they'll have a couple reigns with the tag team titles, and Parker's going to be their manager. And I think he did team also with Blacktop Bully, Bunkhouse Buck and Blacktop Bully. So, that's it's a name lost to time, because literally like when Fuller stopped really associating with the stud stable, Bunkhouse Buck was, I think he made like one WCW pay-per-view in like the Hogan era, and that was about it. He was easily forgotten by the time that Nitro started.
Oh yeah, he was gone.
Yeah. Meng's an interesting character because Meng wasn't really wrestling. He was just a bodyguard.
Yeah, exactly.
For one reason or another.
This was like his introduction into the company,
Yeah.
essentially, right?
Yeah.
From when he transitioned from WWF, or the time in between WWF and WCW.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how they brought him in. Like his managing of Sid Vicious, I know he had Sid in Memphis. And I think during one of the, so this is during the first, not the first, but the Shockmaster version of War Games. Parker is the manager for Harlem Heat and for Sid Vicious at the time. And he was like fresh on the scene. So like his time with Sid was brief because Sid ended up getting fired like 2 months after that. So I'm just going to say it, like we're stud stables, fun guys, a lot of talent, but they're an F tier.
Yeah. 100%.
Somebody's got to be down in the depths.
Well, I was going to say, if you're giving the Paul Jones Army a D, I mean, we might give these guys a Q.
Listen, Robert Parker's very Paul Jones coded. I will just say, like, I think they might be two brothers from the same mother.
Oh, no. I'm just talking about aside from themselves, apart from themselves.
Yeah.
Let's not compare. I mean, Bunkhouse Buck is Shaska Watley of a different shade.
That's true.
That's all I'm saying.
Yes. All right. So
and he doesn't really have anyone to uplift him, really.
We're in consensus that he's down the bottom. Let's jump to Jimmy Hart. I feel like it's a good time to like get a little bit of a palate cleanser, like restore some of the glory of this menagerie, and let's get Jimmy Hart in the mix here. And this is Jimmy Hart's WWF talent. Again, he literally managed every heel that was ever in Memphis. If you look at the list of people, it's just basically like, all right, from like 1980 to 1985, anybody that wrestled Jerry Lawler, big show, small show TV, Jimmy Hart's like right behind him. He had his first family. Comes to the WWF in 1985, very early 85, right around the beginning of the push for WrestleMania. Literally like that month, he came into the WWF and was there until 93. So a little bit shorter than Heenan, which is crazy because we talked about the guys that Heenan managed. I think Jimmy Hart managed like double the amount of those guys in WWF.
Probably.
So we're going to go through them. Obviously, they called his faction or his stable the Hart Foundation. And the tag team within Jimmy Hart's Hart Foundation were themselves labeled the Hart Foundation. Bret Hart, Jim the Anvil Neidhart. You also had King Kong Bundy, who he came in with. Greg the Hammer Valentine, who he took under his tutelage when he first started. Valentine broke off from Lou Albano and went with Jimmy Hart. In addition, he had, during his stint there, he had Dino Bravo. He had the Funks, Dory, Terry, and Jimmy Jack Funk. He had Adrian Adonis. Famously, when Adrian Adonis became the adorable Adrian Adonis, he was with him. He managed, let's see, the Glamour Girls, Judy Martin and Leilani Kai as the women's tag team champions. Jimmy had them. The Natural Disasters, Earthquake and Typhoon. Rhythm and Blues, well, the Honky Tonk Man. I don't want to, just say he managed that tag team, but he had the Honky Tonk Man.
Yep.
Fabulous Rougeau brothers, in addition to Jacques Rougeau as the Mountie. He Money Incorporated, Irwin R. Shyster, and Ted DiBiase, the Nasty Boys.
A lot of tag teams.
Big tag team guy. Big tag team guy. And then right at the very end, he had Hogan and Beefcake. Technically, Hogan and Beefcake were like the last two guys after he turned heel, or turned babyface, I should say. So yeah, that's a lot of people in the under the tutelage of Jimmy Hart, just in WWF. And I'm trying to think if there was anybody else that kind of fell through the cracks that was under Jimmy's tutelage. I think that hits everybody. That's a lot, though.
Pretty much, yeah.
And like just off the top, manager of 1, 2, 3, 4. I think 4 or 5 different tag team champion combinations. 2 Intercontinental champions, Honky Tonk Man and Greg Valentine. Hogan, a world champion, technically.
Yeah, if we get it, yeah, okay.
The legendary Funk Brothers in Dory Jr.'s brief stay. Oh, also, he did. This is great. You're gonna love this. So he's managing Bundy in '85. He pulls off a swap. And him and Bobby Heenan do a trade. Bobby Heenan acquires the services of King Kong Bundy, and Jimmy Hart got Adrian Adonis and the Missing Link. And the Missing Link quit the company like 2 weeks after that.
So it sounds like Bobby Heenan may have. Well, actually, I don't know.
Adrian was that's a semi-main event at WrestleMania 3.
Yeah.
With Adonis and Piper. I mean, he made, like, here's the other thing about Jimmy, and this is where I'll always give Jimmy credit, is that Jimmy was a chameleon. He adapted whether his costume, whether his shtick at ringside, props, he adapted to the guy that he was managing.
That's true.
So if he's with the Funks, he's got a cowboy shirt on and he's holding Terry Funk's branding iron at ringside, still while he's doing the megaphone. If he's with Adrian Adonis, he's got the perfume, he's got extra bows and boas. If it's Honky Tonk, he's adapting with a lot more of the musical stuff. Honky Tonk's calling him the Colonel. Danny Davis was also under the tutelage of Jimmy Hart. There's going to be guys that I miss in this whole thing. He's with Dino Bravo. He's got the Fleur de Lis, the Quebec. Same thing with the Rougeos. He's got the Quebeco stuff on. So yeah, I mean, always easy to adapt to the man that he was managing, and that was something that he prided himself on. And again, he was always in important programs, and when he wasn't in an important program, he's making the most of his time in the mid card, like taking on a new guy and getting them established. Earthquake comes to mind immediately. If Earthquake is under the tutelage of fucking Frenchie Martin or Fuji, and I'm sure they probably thought about putting him with Fuji, just because big guy and Fuji always had the monsters, he would have failed spectacularly. He gets over because he's with Jimmy, and Jimmy's got insane chemistry with Hogan on that side of things, and Jimmy always had chemistry with the guys that he managed. I feel like before you even speak, I'm putting Jimmy in the B tier off the bat. But I'd like to hear your input on what you think of our friend Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, and his Hart Foundation.
Well, I was going to put him in the B tier based on his costume budget alone. The guy was doing more wardrobe changes than they do at the Oscars. Yeah, I mean, he was the number 2 to Heenan in this time frame. Mm-hmm. Really, yeah. I mean, he was the guy that managed everyone that wasn't on Heenan's level. But also managed like you said, 5 different tag team champions. I mean, countless WWE Hall of Famers. Himself, I mean, I
Yeah,
assume he's in the
he's a
Hall
Hall
of
of
Fame.
Famer. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like there's no arguing that Jimmy Hart was the number 2 manager in the 80s and 90s in the WWF.
Yeah.
There's no one. I mean, Heenan is untouchable. Jimmy Hart is right there with him. And I don't know that there's a third in reality, in that time frame. He got the start of Greg Valentine in the WWF, the start of Bret Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart in the WWF.
Yeah. Ground zero on those guys, yeah.
The start of the Nasty Boys in the WWF, the start of Earthquake.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the guy that they paired a lot of guys with Jimmy Hart because they needed a mouthpiece, but they also just needed someone that was established tied to them to get them to the next level.
Right. Yeah. To prove that they're ready.
And once they got to that next level, that's when Jimmy would pass them along, and then the new tag team would come in, or the new guy would come in. He was essential in building a lot of top tier talent. Maybe not when they were with him, but that would go on to be legends.
Yeah.
So, and from what I hear, he's got quite a tiki bar down in Florida.
He sure does. And spectacular hair that still sticks with him. And I'm just looking at his list now. Like, you might still keep him in the B tier just because he was so great with the Rougeos.
Yeah.
And he would, Brett and Jim are tag team champions, and they want to push them separately, and they want to get Brett over as a single star, and he seamlessly transitions to turn it, helping the Rougeos turn heel and getting them in feuds with like the Rockers and the Harts themselves. So yeah, like Jimmy's great. And so Jimmy's he's a solid B. The only thing that keeps it away is I think it's like, you look at the volume and there's a few stinkers on here.
Of course.
Dino Bravo sucks. Nobody's a big fan of him. But still, regardless, it's, I think there's still a shit ton of talent, and he's up there high. So, let's push past Jimmy, put him at the B tier. Let's go briefly. We're going back to the new generation. You had Cornette, kind of around there, but the other big manager at that time is Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, and his $1 Million Corporation. Ran from about 94 to 96. So we got a 2-year window for the $1 Million Corp. And the men that he managed, including his tag team partner IRS, Bam Bam Bigelow, Nikolai Volkov, Kama, the Supreme Fighting Machine, King Kong Bundy, your favorite.
This is like the 4th stable he's been in.
Psycho Sid, the 1-2-3 Kid, the Evil Undertaker, Brian Lee, and the Native American Tatanka. Have at it.
So, this was like my prime of wrestling fandom because I was like 6 years old, and I fucking hated.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
everyone.
I did leave out that he did also manage Steve Austin.
Yes. Well, the ringmaster.
Yes, the ringmaster Steve
Um,
Austin.
I hated everyone that was involved in this.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look back at it, all of these guys had a crucial role in the WWF at that period of time.
Right.
It was a very down time in the business, which would explain why all of them had such a crucial role in the WWF at the time.
Yeah.
You had the Undertaker doing the main event with the Undertaker.
Yes.
Bam Bam Bigelow is main eventing WrestleMania with Lawrence Taylor. You have a few iterations of tag team champions, I believe. You have the big Tatanka heel turn.
Yes. Yes.
On Lex Luger, I think, right?
Right.
And Sid, who was in and out of the world title picture at the time. Plus, you have the first person to hold the $1 million title since, I think, Virgil, back in like 1991
right.
in the Ringmaster.
Brought it back with Austin. Yep.
Yeah. It's for its time, it was the major. They had a major role in the company, but it's too disjointed because none of it seems to go together.
Well, it doesn't. It doesn't. Like I'll just sort of interject.
Because the whole thing was he's buying the services of these guys.
Yeah.
So I understand the cohesion of the storyline of that. But then none of it really went back and tied together after that. Like there was always the initial moment in the story where he comes out and he gives them a certain amount of money in order to buy their services. Once that happens, that's when it, to me, feels disjointed because, I mean, aside from, I think, Nikolai Volkov and like IRS were a tag team at one point.
Well, Nikolai Volkov was poor.
Yes.
He had lost all of his money, and then DiBiase was like, hey, you could just like come on board with you just have to take a payoff and basically be my slave. So I had mentioned it before, he's sort of this reluctant participant. So it's like the Mighty Wilbur was in the Paul Jones army. So he's part of them, but he isn't really like happy about it.
But even so, like, I feel like Bam Bam never really fit there.
No.
I feel like Bundy never really fit there. I feel like Sid never really fit there. Like when they had it as like underneath guys.
Yeah.
With like the Tatanka storyline, I did think was good.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Obviously, IRS makes sense. Like you mentioned, Nikolai Volkov, even Kama to an extent where like he's the supreme fighting machine. They're buying him off to try and take out the Undertaker, going after the whole Undertaker deal.
Mm-hmm.
All of that, well and good. It's when you start incorporating guys that are of a higher echelon on the card is where it felt like they didn't fit in with DiBiase, and I almost like don't even remember him being at ringside with them.
Yeah, weirdly,
like Sid, I can't recall a moment when Ted DiBiase is managing Sid to the ring.
So he's got Sid literally when the 1, 2, 3 Kid turned on Razor Ramon. He starts teaming 1, 2, 3 Kid up with Sid.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe there was like a loose affiliation with DiBiase up until that point, but it wasn't like so. Like, just like you said, like it's sort of a miscast because Sid should be main event and he should be positioned better, but here he is like in a tag team with the smaller guy.
Which I like. That made sense when they did it with Diesel and Sean, right?
Yeah.
Even though there's no manager involved, that made sense because Diesel is not an established character yet,
right?
And Sean is what most people consider to be on the rise to being a main event guy.
True.
So when you put the two of them together and you have the chicken shit heel he's got his heater with him.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. But when you have Sid, who already main evented at WrestleMania for you 2 years prior, to then bring him back and team him with the 1, 2, 3 Kid, that's
right.
Again,
like,
that's like
you should be using Sid better. You know, not the Kid shouldn't be around him, but it shouldn't be in a point where, all right, well, we were just going to have this guy in a tag team. Like, that's Sid Vicious.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about, I mean, you had mentioned Bigelow never really made sense with DiBiase. And I think that was just for service of that WrestleMania main event against Lawrence Taylor. This way we can, Bam Bam's got backup. Because we know Lawrence Taylor is going to come with football players. Here's these putties, basically, that are behind Bam Bam Bigelow. So we're sticking in with DiBiase for now. And then immediately gets kicked out of the $1 Million Corporation right after and turns babyface right after that. So, I mean, this is a curious one. I also, I guess, to further muddy this, I never thought DiBiase. I thought he was a good promo. Terrible manager at ringside.
I thought so. Yeah, I was going to say he did not add anything to this.
No. And it was listen, you've got all of these guys. IRS is going to be affiliated with them, that's for sure. Bigelow's a heel at the point. Tatanka was a turn. 1, 2, 3 Kid's a turn. Sid, to a certain extent, was a turn because he had turned on Sean. So it's, hey, they need a manager, they need a mouthpiece, or we can tell a better story if we do a payoff or I'll get you to turn on your friend thing. So maybe DiBiase is more of a plot device than he is necessarily a leader of this group or a manager of this group. I'm going to put Ted DiBiase in the D tier.
I would agree with that 100%.
Yeah. Again, they did use his guys well, and they were somewhat important, but I think there's miscasting, and I don't know if Ted really held up his end of the bargain.
Yeah, I don't think he particularly added all that much, other than like I said, the initial like introduction into the group, because that's always like, the surprise of, I did this for the money.
Their favorite.
Yeah, but like other than that, he never added much to the overall presentation of any of these guys.
Yeah. It's that, and that's the shame of it, right? That's kind of the part where you're like, boy, they could have done a lot more with this. These guys could have been main event guys, and it just sort of seemed like a bungled, a little bit of a bungled mess, if I'm being honest. So let's vault ourselves to the 2000s, and we're going to talk Ring of Honor. And one of the main stables for a few years here was actually in 3 incarnations. Was the Embassy,
yes,
as led by the magnanimous Prince Nana. Still going strong, by the way, in AEW. And let's give you here. And again, you're more up on Ring of Honor than I am. I'm not going to give you every name here because some of these people are probably not all that important.
No. In all honesty, I didn't even recognize half of them.
Yeah. But he did manage Abyss. Daisy Hayes was under his tutelage. Alex Shelley. Jimmy Rave was a longtime embassy guy. Matt Seidel. Petey Williams. Funny enough, Ricky Morton was part of the embassy at one point.
That I don't remember at all.
Sal Renaro. Xavier was an embassy guy. Then we come back. There was a second incorporation with Bison Smith, Claudio Castagnoli, Necro Butcher, Sean Davari, and then the final incarnation, you've got Dave Taylor, Squire David Taylor, Mia Yim, Osiris, R.D. Evans, Rhino, Tommaso Ciampa. So we got what was this, about 2002 to 2009, give or take?
Somewhere around there.
Yeah. With a couple, he left the company a time or two.
Yeah, he left the company in 05, came back in 06.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My fondest memories were the first two iterations of the embassy. The last one is kind of past my prime of Ring of Honor.
Okay.
But if you notice in the I think only person that stood the test of time from the first and second iterations is Jimmy Rave, who was essentially the main focus of the embassy.
Yes.
He was the leader, and all of these other guys were kind of ancillary players around him. Mm-hmm. They used the embassy as a heel turn device in Ring of Honor because it was one of the few heel stables that the company had. So anytime that they wanted, say, an Alex Shelley, say, Abyss, and they wanted one of these guys to turn heel, they go to the embassy.
Right, yeah. Call up Nana.
Jimmy Rave was the main focus primarily, who I know that we spoke about future episodes of doing an underrated wrestler tournament.
Yeah.
Jimmy Rave in the 2000s 100% deserves to be on that kind of bracket. Yeah. A guy that was far ahead of his time. Rest in peace. Mm-hmm. Deserves way more credit for the current style of wrestling than he deserves, or than he gets.
Than he gets, yeah.
But him and John Walters were the main focus of the original embassy. Those were the guys that they're focusing this, and it's essentially Nana presenting these guys as they're better than the rest of Ring of Honor.
They're the crown jewels. He was
the crown jewels.
That was a lot of his promo.
They don't adhere to the code of honor. They're better than all these people. One of the fun traditions of the embassy was Jimmy Rave getting pelted with rolls of toilet paper instead of streamers.
Yes.
Every time he came into the ring. For Ring of Honor, it is probably the longest lasting stable that they had.
Yeah.
The strongest stable that they had led manager led stable, not faction. Nana did a fantastic job with all these guys. And a lot of them, again, we're talking about indie wrestling in the early 2000s. Not the best promos. You're not going to get the best promos out of a lot of these guys. You're going to get some great in-ring work, but they may not be able to stand in front of 1,000 people and make them want to come back.
Yeah.
But Nana could, and he did a hell of a job with it.
And and I think this is always the credit that if you go back and you watch any Ring of Honor from from really when they started, you're not getting a lot of production. There's not a lot of stylistic production that's being put into this. Yeah, some of the graphics are cool, and obviously the in-ring work stood head and shoulders above everything, but he doesn't have the benefit of working in an environment like Jimmy Hart did, or Heenan, or DiBiase, Robert Fuller, any of these guys that we had talked about before, and even currently, like a Don Callis, where you do have a lot of like money thrown into production. Like, with that being said, like when you see him, cutting promos before matches or that are part of a DVD or whatever it is, like that isn't the selling point for Ring of Honor. Was always the athleticism, what's happening in the ring, the storytelling that's going to happen within the ring itself. And it's just a cherry on top when you have the capability of getting guys over, whether they're part of a faction or whether this manager is doing everything that they can to make you, as the watching audience, feel that this guy's important for one reason or another, or make you want to watch them get their ass kicked because they're not following the code of honor or the ethics that have been established in the company. That's where he shined, and that's honestly that's why he still has a job in wrestling, is that he was able to overcome a lot of what elevated guys that led the way for him. He was able to elevate that and elevate the talent around him so that you made it a point. It's like, oh shit, like look at this promo. Like this is, look at this menagerie of guys that would eventually become superstars who really were kind of wet behind the ears when it came to talking. They were, students of the game inside the ring. But then here's this magnanimous character who's standing out front talking about the embassy, talking about like the all of the crown jewels in the embassy and all of the tropes that go into it. And it's perfect. It was a perfect sports entertainment part of a very sports-oriented company. The sport of pro wrestling was highlighted in Ring of Honor, but this was the sports entertainment element to it shining through.
Completely agree. And I think that it's one of the few like indie, and it even wound up carrying itself over into AEW. Which is, that's how long it lasted in between indie wrestling and into now television wrestling. I mean, it's died off now, but it had almost like a 20-year calendar run. So that kind of speaks to Nana and what a great job he did with this group. I would say solid B. Solid B.
I'm gonna dip it down a little bit to a C, only because again you got a lot of people in here. The one glaring thing, maybe he's got a few tag team champions. Doesn't look like he managed a Ring of Honor world title holder.
Probably not at the time of them holding the title.
Yeah,
no.
Ciampa was after he was with Nana. Claudio's after. So that's where
I know John Walters, Jimmy Rave were consistent pure title holders.
Titles. Okay. Right.
And I think we got a maybe a mixture of Alec. I want to say like Alex Shelley and Xavier.
Xavier might have been
he might have
champ.
been a world champ, but I don't know that it was with the embassy.
Okay.
But what you're saying, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. All right. So you have him in a B. I'll have him in as a C. But again, it's a type of thing that like when you look at the talent around it and you kind of think to yourself like, wow, I can look some of this stuff up on YouTube. Do it. Check it out. It'll certainly be worth it. Let's go with two more. And we have yet to hit TNA. So let's get to TNA. And let's talk about Team Canada. And Team Canada would have been from right around 2004 to 2006. An extremely interesting group of gentlemen led by the coach, Scott D'Amore. And I'm bringing up the team members as we speak. Previously mentioned as part of the embassy, Petey Williams is a crossover. In addition, you've got A1. You've got Johnny Devine, Tyson Dukes, Teddy Hart, Jack Evans from the heavens, Bobby Roode, Ruffy Silverstein.
Who the fuck is that?
Eric Young, and briefly Jim Duggan. Wowzer.
So was the Jim? I assume.
I think it was a one-off.
It had to be like a crossover from the Team Canada WCW.
Yes.
Like this
yeah.
is a joke.
Yep. This is an interesting group of cats. I will say, like, you've got certainly guys that were lined up to be future stars. And I know, like, at the very beginning, it was D'Amore was managing Evans and Teddy with Johnny Devine and Petey Williams sort of like when they had the working agreement with Ring of Honor, like those guys sort of this was their faction. Eric Young is like quintessential Team Canada.
Yeah. Quintessential TNA.
Yeah, I mean, he's Mr. TNA. I'm going to be totally honest. This screams mid-card. This is very Spirit Squad-y to me. And I know Team Canada, like they had storylines. They were like sort of like underneath mid-card heels, and they had the World Cup of Wrestling and
so
stuff that they were heavily.
I think that's where it all started.
Okay, all right.
It all started with the World Cup of Wrestling.
Yeah,
where it was USA, Mexico, Canada, Japan.
Yeah,
and so I think there were 16 people in the tournament, 4 from each country.
Okay, right.
And so that's how Team Canada was established. So I think Teddy Hart and Jack Evans' main role in Team Canada was part of that tournament.
I see. Okay, so that I mean that's where this starts to build itself together and make sense.
And then through that is where Scott D'Amore. I mean, I think he was kind of involved. He got himself involved in TNA. You know, maybe like behind the scenes. Bringing the Canadian wrestlers in.
Yeah.
And that's where the Team Canada stable itself started. More so with Petey Williams, because once Petey Williams dropped the Canadian Destroyer on TNA TV,
it was viral at the time.
All hell broke loose.
Yeah. Very important guy in pro wrestling history. Let's just put it out there.
He literally he got booked off of doing that move. Yeah. And I mean, he became an international. He was getting booked in every American indie in Japan, all over the world based on that move. And that move, I mean, to this day, everyone says that it was the death of wrestling. But he's one of the innovators.
He's a trendsetter
of the modern style.
Yeah.
Based on literally just his finishing move alone. And that became must see. That elevated him to, I would say, a semi. Like, he is of these guys. While being in Team Canada, Bobby Roode later transcended past it. But of being in this group, Petey Williams was by far the biggest attraction of any of these guys.
Yeah.
He elevated himself to like semi-main event level, where it's him and AJ right before the world title.
Yeah.
Other than that, slightly lackluster. Who is Ruffy Silverstein?
No idea. A1 was like a
Don't know.
muscle guy.
I don't know who that is either.
Yeah.
Johnny Devine somehow still has a job with TNA.
He's good. I actually like Johnny Devine, like coming up in TNA. Like he had charisma. Yeah, not familiar with Tyson Dukes or Ruffy Silverstein. I got to give these guys are going to get a D.
Hey, they're D.
They're going to get a D. I'm not failing them at all. They're not stud stable level, but the old Team Canada.
Although I will say that I don't know how much Scott D'Amore added to any of this.
It's very hard to think about.
I did find it very funny that he would come out with the Canadian flag on a hockey stick. I did find that to be.
That's why I'm like I kind of like. There's a little bit of a soft spot because you've got like traditional managerial shtick, no pun intended, stick and shtick. So I'll kind of give him a little bit of a tip of the cap for that, but I don't know if I can elevate the whole team to a certain level after that. So
they pass.
Yeah,
they're gonna have to get their test signed by their parents to acknowledge the grade.
So let's round this out. I'll give you the choice. I'll give you 3 choices as to who we tackle as the last stable.
Okay.
We could talk about, and these will obviously, like, we won't grade the other 2, but we could talk about Sweet and Sour Incorporated. We could talk about Devastation Incorporated. Or we can talk about Paul Ellering's Legion of Doom.
So, Larry Sweeney holds a spot in my heart, but I think that of these 3, that Devastation Incorporated probably, as a whole, had the most significance.
Okay. So let's go with that.
And we also we haven't touched on anything world class. So
right. Okay. So as good a reason to jump right into the team managed by General Skandar Akbar, Devastation Incorporated, from about 82 to just about 89, 90. Now, it wasn't just world class. There was a working agreement and a talent exchange between world class and Bill Watts' Mid-South that was kind of on and off at the time. So a lot of these guys crossed over with Skandar. If Akbar was going to be in one territory for 6 months, the next 6 months he was going to be kind of the same group in another territory. Some outliers flanking him wherever he went. But the main guys that he managed during this time period, some of these names, obviously, we know from other factions. So he's got a lot of faction crossover. But he had managed Abdul the Butcher, tried and true guy, the Latin heartthrob Al Perez, Big Bubba Rogers, Wild Bill Irwin, Black Bart, Buddy Landell, Cactus Jack, Eric Embry, Kamala, The Missing Link, The Great Kabuki, Hercules Hernandez, Kendo Nagasaki, Killer Khan, King Kong Bundy, another...
I think that's the 6th time.
Another retread, yeah. Maniac Mark Lewin, Nord the Barbarian, a show favorite. The other Barbarian. It's 2 barbarians. One Man Gang, Steve Austin, Ted DiBiase, and that might be about it. Yeah. Oh, the Punisher, who ended up being the Undertaker. in his rookie year under a mask.
You want to talk about a who's who?
Yeah. And that wasn't even every single person that they had on this list. These were the guys that, like, I know from his stints in World Class and Mid-South that were definitely big time Akbar guys. Monsters.
I mean, this is a who's who of wrestling.
Yeah, yeah.
This may be the most impressive roster of any stable that we've put together. And now we're talking about like almost a 10-year period.
That's true. Yeah, he had a long stint.
It's not like they were all together at the same time.
Right. Right.
But still, to hold the managerial services of such talent, quite impressive.
So while he was their manager, he's got 3 world champions. Big Bubba Rogers, the one-man gang, and fucking Black Bart was the world-class world heavyweight champion.
Naturally.
Yeah. Made no sense. Black Bart sucks. But, like, in general, like, no pun intended there either. Like, he made a lot of money with Kamala. He made a lot of money with Bundy as part of Devastation. Kabuki. What's his name? Missing Link. So, like, again, it's the monster of the day that's coming to fight the Von Erichs or coming to fight Steve Williams or Duggan in UWF. And Akbar's right there. He's leading the charge. It's the money match that they're waiting for, and bringing him in. He's another guy who's also, like, I think we mentioned this with a few other managers, especially with DiBiase himself. If we need to freshly turn them heel, they're taking a payoff from Skandar Akbar, and they're taking his blood money to turn on whatever mid-card or main event babyface. So you definitely have a lot of these heavy hitters that are in and out. Plus, you've got, again, he managed a very young Steve Austin. You managed a very young Undertaker as the Punisher. Cactus Jack was with him when he started his career. So he's got that reputation as the manager of the future. And Devastation was a touchstone. Southern Wrestling always had a Devastation Incorporated. And I think Akbar is another one who's an underrated manager, like Paul Jones, where he's always in the mix with the main event guys, no matter what, and he's putting schemes together all the time. But what do you think overall grade for Devastation Incorporated?
I think for especially it being a territory stable and not a nationwide like television staple, this is as close to S tier as we can get. Yeah, I'm not going to give it an S. I'll give it an A. Okay. I think the sheer longevity and the talent that ran through it, it's undeniable that this was the top heel stable in maybe all of territory wrestling.
Yeah, you're right. It's got through lines. It's got compelling stories. Again, the fact that you got guys like Kamala that were part of Devastation in one part of the country and then followed Akbar to another part of the country and wreaked havoc. One Man Gang was like that too. I mean, it's certainly like the monsters that they built were important guys. And
if you've always got your schlubs, but the higher the highs beat out the lowest of the lows.
Right. I'm going to agree with you. We're putting Devastation Inc. in the A tier. This is just a cool group. And I just want to click on somebody real fast. Oh yeah, he also managed goddamn Muda as the Super Black Ninja.
That's what I thought.
Wow. All right. Kudos to Skandar Akbar. Again, anybody who's listening to this that wants to go back and watch old territory wrestling and see, promos week after week and guys that are just they're making stars out of the people that are going to be in their faction. Skandar Akbar definitely knew how to do that and talk it in. So here's our final rundown on our tier list. We've got a stable in every single tier, which is good. And the consensus number one S tier on both of our lists, the Bobby Heenan family, number one across the board. In the A tier, we're in agreement on the A tier. The Dangerous Alliance, Paulie Dangerously, the Don Callis family, and Devastation Incorporated. On the B tier, you've got the Paul Jones Army, Jimmy Hart's Hart Foundation, and the Embassy, and I've got the Hart Foundation. C tier, we both agreed that is where Camp Coronet resides, and I've got the Embassy on the C tier. The D tier, you've got the $1 Million Corporation and Team Canada, and I've got the same DiBiase's $1 Million Corporation, Team Canada, as well as the Paul Jones Army. And then rounding everything out in the F tier, Colonel Robert Parker and the Stud Stable. This is an excellent exercise. We obviously, there's a lot of honorable mentions.
This episode could have genuinely been 3.5 hours. Because we have probably like 6 or 7 that we didn't even get to.
Yes. Maybe there'll be a follow-up if we can fit that in future episodes, or at least talk about, some of these other factions and some of these other manager stables that were floating around. But a lot to cover. We understand if you guys want to, kind of break this up a little bit and listen to it in chunks, but a lot of good information, a lot of good stuff to go back and watch. If we sold you on checking out, some stuff from the Embassy or from stuff from the Paul Jones Army, whatever it is, we'd love to hear that in the feedback. And Tom, I don't know about you, but I'm going to stand in the back of the rest of the faction at this point and just sort of blend into the wall as if I was Trent Beretta in the Don Callis family. I don't know if you want to do the same, but
yeah, I will be Bobby Dempsey in the Sweet and Sour Incorporated.
Very good. So for my tag team partner, Tom Schultz on his side, this is Mike Madden on my side. We hope you guys have a great night, and we will see you at the matches.